Hare Krishna to you? Whatever you do, I'll move. But better to let me do it. Thank you. Do you guys speak English? A little. Thanks. Hare Krishna. You speak English. Huh?
Not much.
You're also in Little League. How about you? I don't speak any Hindi or Tamil or Gujarati. I know cello and bass. You know, we could turn this, don't spin the dials. Hello? Hello? Yeah, hello there. You could turn it down a little bit.
Yeah.
Krishna, 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 Hare. And now, the hardest thing for a sound man, do not touch any of the dials.
Yeah.
Do you speak English?
Yeah.
Yeah, don't touch anything.
Is it okay now?
Yeah, it's just fine. You can hear me? Yeah. Yeah, just thank you. Yeah, don't spin those dials. They get so it sounds like the voice of God, you know. So, yeah, hey, don't touch any dials.
Oh, that's all for recording.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with audio. We not change audio.
All right.
It's only for recording.
All right. I don't believe you. So Prabhupada tells a joke that, because people say, I know Bhagavad Gita, I know Krishna, I'm raised in India, what can you tell me? I know everything. You ever hear that? Yeah, we all hear it. We hear it all the time. So Prabhupada tells a joke. A man goes to a foreign country. I'll tell you another joke by Prabhupada, too. A man goes to a foreign country, but he doesn't speak the language. And his friends tell him, don't worry about it. Just learn a few words, and it'll all work out. You just learn to say yes, no, and very good. Everything will work out. And you've been to foreign countries, I've been to foreign countries. You can get a lot done with yes, no, and very good. You point to this, you point to that, yes, no, very good. Okay. So the guy's going along and things are working out. Yes, no, very good. Yeah, yes, yeah, no, very good. And, those phones have an off button. If it was off. You'll be happier and I'll be happier. So, he's got to check his messages first. So, yes, no, very good. Yes, no, very good, right? One day he's in front of a bank and they rob the bank. Some people rob the bank and they escape. And the police show up. He doesn't know what happened. They see him standing there. And he doesn't speak the language. They say, did you rob the bank? He says, yes. They said, well, give the money back. He said, no. They said, then you're going to jail. He said, very good. And off he went to jail. So we need to get a clear and deep understanding. we also meet specialists that, that they're previously someone of knowledge, they called them a Renaissance person, that they knew the full scope of knowledge. We have people that, they may be a Sanskritist, but they've only, that they miss the point. They don't see the big picture. They only specialize in a narrow band. So Prabhupada told a joke. Two men are riding on a train in India. Now, I don't know if you're old enough, but they used to have coal-burning trains in India. They still have coal-burning trains that burn coal and pump out that black smoke. So two men were riding on a coal-burning train. I remember when I first went to India. I was on a train from Bombay to, it was Mumbai and then to Calcutta. It turned out to be a mail train. It took me 3 days. And all my clothes I was a householder then. I was wearing white cloth, and it was all gray from soot. I washed it, and the rinse water was all gray. So it blows out that black smoke. So, and India, if you shut the window on the train to keep the black smoke out, it gets hot in there, They got that little fan that barely works, AC compartment, but it's not really AC. So they opened the window to get some fresh air. And some of that black smoke blew in the window. And the man got a cinder in his eye. One of the men got and you get something in your eye, it really hurts. So he's really in pain and he can't see. And his friend goes to look for a doctor. And he goes through the different bogies, the different compartments, and he can't find the doctor. Finally, he gets to the last compartment. And it's a whole compartment load of doctors, all going to a convention. Doesn't quite do the job. This one's a cardiologist. This one's an endocrinologist. This one's anyway, so many things. They got a heart doctor. They got an ear doctor. They got a kidney doctor. Finally, they find an eye doctor. So they bring the eye doctor up, and he looks at the poor man with a cinder in his eye, and the doctor says, "It's in the right eye. I'm a left eye specialist." That's Prabhupada's joke. So, what does the Bhagavad Gita conclude? Sarva dharma parityaja, surrender unto me. There was a Sanskrit professor one time, and he said, he was trying to impress Prabhupada. This was in Detroit. And he said, Swamiji, is it Krishna? Is it Krishna? Is it Krishna? How do you actually say it? Prabhupada said, don't worry. He knows who's calling. If you call out, Bhavagrihi Janardanam, Krishna knows what's in everyone's heart. We were going to lose our friend here who spoke a little English. Hello. Welcome back. I know it's hard without English. I know it's hard. So I wanted, rather than chanting a verse today, I wanted to just give you a little report from Mayapur. And we're going to show something, aren't we? How are we showing it? Where's the screen? Oh, it's up there. Oh, that's impressive. Now, you know what we forgot? We forgot my laser pointer. But the world will turn. I'm going to get a stiff neck looking up there. No worries. We'll be fine. So this is... No, I want so many things. Whatever you do, I'll still be uncomfortable. And guess why? Because this world is uncomfortable. The whole thing is on this body, this world, everything's uncomfortable. So anyway, this is a picture of the original members. They made a presentation. When we distribute books, a percentage of that profit, the cost of the book goes back to the BBT, right? A percentage of that money goes for the goes for the construction fund, and the construction fund up to this year has all gone to the TOVP. The TOVP in Mayapur. So the construction goes for that. So and then a percentage goes to the Bhaktivedanta Institute. This is Prabhupada's arrangement. Do you know that the North American BBT has given, what is it, in the last about 5 years, the North American BBT has given over $3 million to the TOVP? That's a lot of money. Every book that we sell, a percentage goes, every book is another brick for Mayapur. So that's enlivening. And a percentage goes to the Bhaktivedanta Institute. But they have to show us every year. They make a presentation to the GBC. Last year you gave us this amount of money. Here's what we did with it. And if they've spent it wisely, which they always do, they give a grant presentation. Okay, now here's what we need for next year. And here's what we're going to do with it. So that was Prabhupada's system, that we give them the money, but we make sure what are they going to spend it on, and do they use it wisely, like that. So they made a report. So just for fun, this is, Prabhupada sitting with the original members. I would show Rupa Nuga's there, Madhava's there. One of my heroes is Sariputta, smartest man I ever met materially in my life, a double PhD in statistics, and the other was in theoretical physics. He was a very far-out devotee, Sariputta. And he gave up everything, and he moved to New Vrindavan. And they put him in the farm department. And every morning after breakfast, Koladri Prabhu told me this. Koladri was the president of New Vrindavan at the time, under Kirtanananda. And nobody wanted Bhakta Rich. His name was Richard Thompson, because they thought he was a space case. They'd go out to dig, holes for fixing the fences, to put the post in, put the wiring. And Sariputta go with the shovel and throw the dirt, and they thought he was spacing out, because but he was calculating, okay, with this angle, I get this much dirt, and I throw it like this, and it actually falls like this, and that's a confirmation of so-and-so's law of physics. Zing! He just, because he was, a transcendentalist. He would just take off. And they'd say, hey, Rich, back to the hole. Okay, and he didn't argue. He was a very nice person. But Koladri said nobody wanted him because he wasn't a hard worker. He's a Brahmin. He's not just out there digging holes, But he just accepted it. And then Prabhupada sent out a letter, I remember reading it, that every temple president was supposed to read to the devotees. So Koladri read at breakfast in New Vrindavan, all these farmers. He said, is there anyone out there, this is a letter for Prabhupada, anyone out there with a master's or a PhD in any hard science? Sariputra raises his hand, says, well, I've got a PhD in theoretical physics and a PhD in statistics. So Kaladri said, oh, that explains it. Then he could understand. And off Sariputra went to the Bhaktivedanta Institute. And Sariputra told me this, that Prabhupada told him. Prabhupada said his disease was that he cannot think small. They asked Prabhupada one time, saw a newspaper reporter, why did you come to America? Now Prabhupada would sometimes say, I've come to teach what you've forgotten. You know? I have not come to beg, I've come to give. Everyone in those days, I mean now India's first world and America's becoming third world. I never saw a homeless person in my life until the last 10 years of my life, But anyway, so Prabhupada said, I have not come to beg, I have come to give. And we are giving, Prabhupada says repeatedly, the most valuable welfare work. Because people are in anxiety, they're full of fear, they're full of, whatever. So many things. They're looking for Krishna, but they don't know it. So Prabhupada said, I've not come to beg, I've come to give. And Prabhupada said, I cannot, my disease, and he was joking, is that I cannot think small. This Krishna consciousness movement is mystical. We are doing when Prabhupada met Tarun Kanti Ghosh. Tarun Kanti Ghosh was a Bengali, he was a life member. He was a nice man. He was a Vaishnava of sorts. He was a nice man. And he met Prabhupada in Calcutta. His grandfather had gotten initiated by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And he produced a bunch of local language newspapers all over India. Jai Banka Bihari, Jai Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman, Jai Shri Gaurnatai, Jai Gaurnatai. So, Prabhupada met him in Calcutta, Tarun Kanti Ghosh. And Tarun Kanti Ghosh had been to see a yogi. And the yogi had made an apple. Zoop! There was an apple. Now, so many of those guys are just bogus. They're just, they caught that Sai Baba, Satya Sai Baba with the big bushy hair. They caught him like a magician. There was a Dutch film crew, and they caught him. They caught him doing so many things, but they caught him doing that just as magic, like a But let's assume for the moment, because this Tarun Kanti Ghosh said, he only had a gumshan, he couldn't hide anything up his sleeve, and he made an apple. And he could not move beyond the fact that this man must be Bhagavan because he made an apple. And Prabhupada, humility personified, but sometimes had to assume the role of a teacher. Prabhupada said to him, I came to America with nothing. And you have to understand, we used to go out on book distribution and we'd tell people, higher taste, it's about being a vegetarian. People would say, is that a political party? They didn't, vegetarian, libertarian, they did, You would tell them, whatever. They didn't. It's a book on yoga. They'd say, yogurt? Hell, man, I don't eat yogurt. It was like really hard to explain things to people. And Prabhupada comes, tells the long-haired hippies, dogs run free, so why can't we? He tells them to follow the regular principles, cut their hair. Teaching from Bhagavad Gita, they're all on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, Dharmakshetra, Kurukshetra. And they're all, protesting the Vietnam War. I mean, everything was wrong. Prabhupada should not have succeeded in 1965 in America. If you weren't white, male, Christian, and he had to be a Protestant, couldn't really be Catholic, they were you couldn't get anything done in America. So, it's changed a lot by prasadam, book distribution, so many things. So anyway, to finish this, they asked, so this Tarun Kanti Ghosh had seen this yogi who, by Prapti City, had made an apple. And he couldn't, apple this, there was no apple, there was an apple, he had a gumsha on, there was nothing up his sleeve, and he made an apple, and it was a fresh apple, So Prabhupada, to get him, so Prabhupada could preach to him, Prabhupada said, I came to America with nothing. He actually had $20 that he'd sold a set of books. Everything came from book distribution. He sold a set of books to the captain of the Jaladuta. Other than that, the 40 rupees he had, you couldn't even convert. It was just paper. He probably had a sock of coins so he could get, from New York, Boston or New York to Manhattan. To Butler. So he had nothing. So Prabhupada said, I had nothing. All I had was the holy name and the order of my guru. So I sat in the park, I had a pair of kartals, and I chanted the holy name. And from that chanting, so many disciples, so many devotees came. So many books came, so many festivals, so many beautiful deities of Radha and Krishna. Your deities are very beautiful. So many beautiful deities. And Prabhupada said, in so many temples. And then Prabhupada said, and in every temple, there are so many apples. Apple halva, apple chutney, apple this, apple that, So this yogi makes one apple. Oh, he must be Bhagavan. But what about Prabhupada, who opened temples and festivals and devotees? Nelson Mandela, anyway, that's another story. Remind me at breakfast to tell you about Nelson Mandela and the devotees. So, Prabhupada said that world views, what time did we go till? 8, whoa. World views change. They used to think it's called the Age of Faith in the Middle Ages, the early Middle Ages, that hell is below, heaven is above, and there's God in charge of everything. That was called the age, in the Western world, it was called the Age of Faith. Then they started exploring and they figured out different laws of physics. Sir Isaac Newton with an apple falls down thinking about gravity. And oh, wait a minute, maybe things are going on by simple laws of physics. Of course, law means lawmaker, but so they had the age of reason. It's science, and we'll figure everything out, and we'll make the world heaven on earth by understanding and manipulating the laws of nature. So then they had the age of enlightenment, and they had the industrial age, that will do everything with the machinery. and we'll eventually live forever. They got the computer age. So people, the way people look out at and measure the world, what they see are the cardinal points, change. Now, why does that matter? Have you ever seen 3 buildings standing next to each other, and they want to demolish the building in the middle, your skyscraper? And they put dynamite in the middle building, they blow the plunger, the building collapses. The other 2 buildings are fine, the one in the middle collapses. Have you ever seen that? Seen it? You've seen it. Yeah, it's okay. You Google it, you'll see it. Demolition of a building, you'll see it. So, how do they do that? You know how they do that? They get the structural plans. Because that's a lot of, just like 9/11. 9/11, it collapsed on its own weight. So they blow out the linchpins, they're called, where the weight is being held, supported. They get the structural plans. They blow out with dynamite, and the building just collapses on its own weight. World views change. World views rest on certain points. So Prabhupada told the members of Bhaktivedanta Institute that here's what's in everybody's head. They think that this body, that's all we are. We're just a biological machinery. And you think there's a ghost in the body. You think there's a soul, there's somebody inside, that's just brain function. And brain function is just, chemical reactions, electrical impulses. That's all it is. There's no soul. That's just an illusion. And there's no God. Everything's going on by random chances of law. And life comes from chemicals. I heard Prabhupada say to a professor one time that you're a doctor. He was a doctor in biology. Prabhupada, first thing he said was, poor frogs, because they're always dissecting. The guy was a little embarrassed. Prabhupada knocked him back a few steps. You think you're so puffed up. Prabhupada told the man, Prabhupada said, first off, the man said, well, I've seen Prabhupada deal with 2 biologists, but this I just thought of an even better one. Prabhupada said, the man was saying that we can create life. And eventually men will live forever. Prabhupada said, all right. Prabhupada said, can you make me a fly? It's small. He made a big 747. Prabhupada told the man, I met a man who was in aeronautics. Well, we'll finish about the fly. So Prabhupada said, can you make me a fly? And the man said, well, not really. We can't do that yet. Prabhupada said, all right then. Can you make me a blade of grass? The man said, well, we really can't do that. Prabhupada said, can you make me 1 drop of milk? Man said, we really can't do that. And if you think about it, you take dry straw and you give it to a cow, and that cow produces miracle food. Prabhupada said the miracle food for old men and babies, milk. You try, make me a drop of milk. You're talking, you're going to create. So they can't, it's all bluff. The guy, his name is Stephen Miller. He's a big professor at the University of San Diego, California. It's one of the top hard science schools in America. In certain fields, it's better than Caltech or MIT. So, I'm feeling sorry for our poor friend who's tired and can't understand what I'm saying. No, it's naturally full. So he's working hard for Krishna. So anyway, Stephen Miller, they say he created life. You'll hear this sometimes on the college campuses. We've already created life in a test tube. You know what they actually created? And they didn't really create it. They took some simple chemicals and they shot electricity through it. And they created, it reconfigured to be some very basic amino acids. That's what they actually did. Now, you have to to create life, a simple one-cell paramecium, a little bacteria, one cell. You've got to take amino acids, convert those into proteins, then you've got to create proteins and convert that into a single cell. It's like if I give you a hubcap or a steering wheel, and I say, here's a brand new Cadillac. Will you accept it as that? What? Okay. It's a hubcap off a Cadillac. It's a steering wheel off a Cadillac. But there's a whole lot of other steps. And they are the more they investigate. I mean, we have a guy who used to come to the temple. He's passed away. If he'd lived long enough, he would have gotten a Nobel Peace Prize. His name was Ram Raja something. He was from South India. He was a big professor. And he told me, and his field was weather and global warming. The guy was one of the best in the world. He used to come, he was a very nice guy. And he said, it's not like we're figuring everything else out. You know, like if you paint a room, eventually you paint it and you get to one last corner and then you got the whole thing done. It's not like we're figuring everything out. He said, the more we study, the more we realize how complicated it is. He said, the weather, now, they call it atmospheric rivers. He said, just like there's veins in your blood, in your body, there's rivers of moisture and dry air, and they're flowing, and it flows all around the globe, and they're all interdependent. And they're changing the tides, they're changing the weather. I mean, we had some idea there's the Pineapple Express. It blows from the South Pacific with moisture. We had some idea. But how complicated it is and the side effects, we have no idea. What the hell is going on? That's what he said to me. And when they study a single cell, one of those top guys, the top biologist at MIT, he said a single cell paramecium is more complicated than New York City. It has all kinds of circuitry and systems. It's got some gene splicing thing that when it wants to divide in half, how it cuts everything. And it all has to be sequenced. So Prabhupada said that life comes from matter, that consciousness is just brain function. There's no ghost in the machine. That everything's going on by the laws of physics. There's no God. And the goal of life is simply to die. When you die, that's it. You become fertilizer. You know? And that's what people think. And it makes for it makes it a very lonely, dry world. There's no God. There's no, what are you praying for? Doesn't mean anything. You're all alone. Everybody's motivated by social biology, survival of the fittest. It's a horrible, dank, dark, depressing, silent universe. And everybody's out for themselves. Any altruism is really just, you're trying to keep your DNA alive and reproduce. It's a horrible worldview. Makes people self-centered, makes them lonely. So Prabhupada said that we need to take the Bhaktivedanta Institute via science is meant to blow out those worldviews, and prove, no, life comes from life. There is a soul, an eternal soul. And so we'll just finish this off and we'll be done. But Prabhupada gave them a mission. It's an apparently impossible mission. Oh, that's what I wanted to say. They asked Prabhupada one time, why did you come to America? And Prabhupada said, well, some of my godbrothers went to London and they failed. Prabhupada was actually, I heard Prabhupada say this, when Ban Maharaj came back from London, Prabhupada and his good friend Sridhar Swami, Sridhar Maharaj, the original Sridhar Maharaj, he and Prabhupada greeted those Gaudiya Math messengers when they came back from London. They came back by ship, and they came down the gangplank. And Prabhupada and Sridhar Maharaj, maybe some others were there, but Prabhupada said this. He was standing next to Sridhar Maharaj, and when they got off the boat, they were in British dress. They had suits and little bow ties and hats on. And Prabhupada turned to Sridhar Maharaj and said, we went to change them, but they have changed us. So much for Krishna West, but that's another topic. That was not Prabhupada's business. Prabhupada's business was cultural conquest. What is Vedic culture? So Prabhupada gave the BI, the Bhaktivedanta Institute, what an apparently impossible mission. But by their hard work and the grace of Krishna, now let's go through this, go over them. So here's the originals. What's next? So here you see them as young men. Brahmatirtha is right in the middle there from, the Peace Corps worker, perfect questions, perfect answers. He's now a respected professor, and here he is, he's the director of the Bhaktivedanta Institute. We'll just go through this quickly. This is their world headquarters. This is the former, it's a historical mansion on the campus of Florida's University of Florida in Gainesville. This used to be the house. When you were the president of the university, this is the house you stayed in. It's a very aristocratic, you can see it. It's a typical southern mansion. It was purchased by Hridayananda Maharaj with some of the inheritance from his family. So it's right on the campus, and this is their world headquarters. Next. And these are their modern and Vedic cosmology. And the TOVP, we'll talk about that tonight, but the Temple of the Vedic Planetarium, Prabhupada wanted to take the 5th canto. Anyone, when you read the 5th canto, it's amazing. You think, whoa, what is that about? It blows the mind. When I was a kid in 5th grade, we're going to go a few minutes, but it's okay. 5th grade, you're 11 years old. Now, I don't know what they do in India, but for 5th grade, which means you're 11 years old, in science class, you make a model of the universe. You get the little styrofoam balls, and you paint them, 9 planets, they say, so 9 different colors, and you have a yellow ball in the sun, and you make a mobile, and you got the planets going around it. Did you ever do that as a kid? Oh, you got the principle, you just paint the thing. Huh? Yeah, you drew it. So does it make sense that a Kali Yuga citizen, I mean, if we're honest with ourselves, everybody else with a brain got out. Went back to Godhead, and here we are in Kali Yuga, the bottom of the barrel. We can't even get ourselves to Walmart and back without a GPS. And we're going to understand how the universe works? I mean, be honest. Well, I don't understand that. Well, that's amazing. That's far out. Shouldn't it be amazing? Shouldn't Krishna's, I mean, this body is amazing. With modern medicine, because I've been through a lot. I got a pacemaker, I got 2 stents, I got all kinds of stuff going on, And they don't really know. I've got some of the best doctors in America. Well, we'll try this, see how it works out. Well, that didn't work. Okay, well, maybe it's this. It's a process of elimination. Well, we'll try this. Well, that wasn't that. Well, we'll give you this test. It wasn't that. Well, we'll try another test. It wasn't that. A Vedic, I've seen guys do this. I went to see one of the best, was Gopal Krishnamurti's Ayurvedic doctor, Bal Gopal, I forget, it was South Indian. And I didn't tell him what was wrong with me. He felt my pulse. Prabhupada said there's something like 135 different pulses. And they just feel you get a good one. Now, they're all fakes and frauds now. But you get a good one, and he feels your pulse. And he says, are you feeling like this? Are you feeling like that? He nailed everything I was feeling. He said, oh. He said, you've got this and that, and, told me what to do. I was too far gone by that time. I couldn't save it. But they knew what was wrong. They nailed it. So, is it reasonable that Krishna's mystic power, you ask them what is gravity, right? There's different forces. What is it? There's the dark. Anyway, I don't want to go too far afield, and we're running out of time, and I want to finish this. Okay, so back to focus. The point I'm making, we'll keep going. So, wait, go back. No, yeah. So modern and Vedic cosmology. Prabhupada told Sariputta to figure out the 5th canto. And they've actually figured it out. Basically, and you have to accept Krishna's mystic power. The fact that I'm sitting here speaking to you and you're hearing me, that's mystical. The fact that Krishna can float billions of tons of water in a cloud and move it wherever he wants. There's billions of tons of water floating in those clouds. That's mystical. So many things that are mystical. That Krishna, you can give cow a straw and the cow makes milk. That's mystical. You ask them what is gravity? Gravity is Sesha Naga's mystical power holding up all the planets. You ask them what is gravity. I've done it. You ask them what's gravity. You ask a physicist, what's gravity? He'll tell you gravity, it comes from mass. All mass has gravity. The more mass you have, the more gravity you have. And that mass is what holds the universe, keeps it from imploding on itself or spinning out. Because there's different gravitational forces amongst the different planets, and it kind of balances holds the whole thing from either imploding or expanding out to infinity. So that's gravity. Okay. Well, what causes gravity in mass? Isn't that the next reasonable question? Why does mass have gravitational pull? And they'll go through different questions, and you know what you finally get to? Because there's particles or waves. They don't know if it's a wave. They don't know if it's a particle. That's sort of a basic question, but they don't know the answer to that. And they're particles or waves surcharged with gravity. Have I given you an answer? You ask them what's electricity. You'll go in a huge circle. You start with an electron, you go see, and you come back to the electricity is caused by an electrically charged particle or wave. Seems to me we've just gone a big circle. So modern and Vedic cosmology and the TOVP will actually do it. And all the phenomena they can measure, eclipses and all that kind of stuff, all of that's there. Mind and brain consciousness, we've been talking about how they actually, and well, you'll see in a minute. But and the next is biology and evolution. That everything happened by chance. By random mutation. That's a whole other story. Maybe we'll talk about that tomorrow, about random mutations and evolution. It's just, things do not evolve. They devolve. If there was no, and it's a simple example, but it's the same principle. Can I take things, what is the law of entropy? Things wear down. Things don't become more complicated. Can I stack all the ingredients for building this building, put them in an empty field, give it enough time, give it that secret ingredient, dynamite, the Big Bang, and can I blow that building into construction? Rather, if there's no maintenance in this building and no architecture and no plan and no intelligent force acting on matter, does this building, those ingredients ever evolve into a building? Rather, you leave the building alone, it decays, it falls apart. Matter goes from complicated to simple. From complex to simple. Unless acted on by an outside force, matter is acted by the law of entropy, and it decays, it degrades, it moves to a simpler state. Things don't evolve into a more complicated state. And the idea that we evolve from simple chemicals, it's just, so that's biology and evolution, and of course they're doing all the displays for the Temple of Vedic Planetarium. Not only will there be the deities and this chandelier that explains the fifth canto, but throughout the TOVP will be displays explaining all of these examples. People will walk in with a mechanistic, reductionist, it all happened by chance, worldview, and they'll go through the Temple of Vedic Planetarium, have all their materialistic ideas blown out, all these points blown out, and then they'll see a beautiful Radha and Krishna. There'll be a whole structure. You'll take a travel through the universes, and you'll ultimately you'll be standing on the ground floor, Goloka and Gokula. That here's Radha and Madhava, and the Asashakis, and they manifest in Vrindavan. And here is in Goloka Vrindavan, here's the spiritual world. You'll go through all the planetary systems. You'll go through Shiva Loka. You'll go through the Brahma Jyoti. You'll go through Vaikuntha, and you'll come to Vrindavan. Prabhupada said, as below, as above, so below. And you can imagine. So this is Prabhupada said, I can't think small. And change the worldview. And worldviews have changed. It's not impossible. Prabhupada said, anyway, we'll finish that. Next. So here's some of the heroes. I mean, outside of the director, there's the administrator. Everybody else has got a PhD or a master's. They're not all from India. There are some Indians, but they're from all over the world. There's some men, there's some women. These are the heroes of the Bhaktivedanta Institute. Next. This is what they did. This is their report. This is what they did. 7 institutes. I mean, you can just see all their publications, conferences. They're at IIT, all the different IIT Mumbai, IIT Delhi, IIT. So they're at Stanford, they're at Caltech. So many places. Okay, next. I think we're almost done. Anyway, and this is a big conference they're doing now, mind, brain, and consciousness. This is a Khandati. A Khandati has become one of the, I don't know if I said it last night because I forget where I speak. If you walked into an artificial intelligence computer engineering course 10 years ago and said there's something called consciousness that's non-material, but it's a fact in this world. It's an irreducible fact. It's an element of it creates experience. You would be laughed out of the room. What they've found over the last 10 years is good arguments that consciousness is not due to just this body. It's not, it is, I think I said it last night, like a periodic chart, of all the different elements. There's actually an element in this world called consciousness. And matter, it's not generated from matter, it exists in and of itself. It's a tattva. It's an irreducible element of experience. And as soon as it's now up to about 10 or 12% of the people, professors in AI, accept that there's an irreducible something. We're not going magical, we're not thinking God but there's something that can't be reduced called consciousness. We can't fabricate it. So next, this is when their conferences they're putting on. Next, these are samples of their publications next because we want to end. And this is where they make their appeal for money and what they're doing. But this is just a sample. Prabhupada, and we'll talk more tonight, there's wonderful devotees all over the world doing amazing preaching. We'll talk about more tonight. And you're part of it. You're members of ISKCON, and we are pushing this movement forward. And it's changing the world. When Prabhupada came, he was joking. They asked Prabhupada, why did you come to America? Prabhupada said, well, my godbrothers, as we described, they went to London and they failed. Another one of my godbrothers went to Germany and he failed. Another one of my godbrothers went to Sweden and he failed. So I thought, if I'm going to fail, let me at least fail in a new place. We probably was joking, but at least, there's some honor. If you go to the same place and fail again, what's that, But that Prabhupada was joking. Because Prabhupada knew, he said, everyone's chasing after America. And if I can turn America, especially in the 60s, you have no idea. America there was no Russia, forget Russia. We had the atomic bombs, we had that, America was really the only one power, and everybody wanted to become like America. So Prabhupada knew if he turned America, he could turn the world. And he came alone with nothing, sat down with the holy name and faith in the order of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the order of his Guru Maharaj, and he changed the world. So we are given a wonderful, powerful mission, and you should feel happy that you're part of it. We can do something good in the world. So we can end there. Thank you very much for sitting so patient. And this is just one thing. We had about 30 different presentations. So we'll do a few more tonight. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. Now what happens? Prasadam. Isn't it? Yeah. Hey, Mataji, the thing is, if I take prasadam now, and I take prasadam again at 12:30, I'm going to get sick. I can't digest that fast. Can we do it? 1:30 would be perfect for me, but can we say 1 o'clock?
That's fine.
You sure?
That's fine.
Yeah, otherwise I'm going to get sick.
We can even do 1:30 if that's better for you.
No, I can bend a little bit. I may be stubborn, but a little malleable. But let's
Mataji is
say,
only 10 minutes away.
huh?
Mataji is only 10 minutes away, so
So just, if you could tell her, just let's meet at 1 o'clock instead of 12:30.
we made simple.